Hi and welcome to PBL Live for Beginners. This is the perfect routine to do if you want to progress to a full body workout, but you really want to get the basics perfect before you progress. We're going to be strengthening all your stabilizing muscles, correcting your posture and your alignment, and really making sure you have a solid foundation for your Pilates practice. All you need for this workout is your mat, so let's get started. We're going to start today's workout by coming down into a neutral position, lying down on your back in the center of your mat. Make sure here your feet are flat down on the ground and the ankles, knees and hips are directly aligned with one another. You're making sure that you're just comfortable on the mat, the neck is long, the shoulders are down away from the ears, arms are resting down beside you for just a moment. Now just take a moment just to sink down into the ground. Just let your body completely relax. Before we start the workout, we're going to go over establishing our neutral spine, our correct engagement through the powerhouse, and also the correct breathing technique. These are the three foundations for your practice. Let's start by placing the heels of the hands directly on top of the crest of the pelvis. So right at the front of the hips, so that bony part of the hips. You're then going to line up your fingertips with your pubic bone and line up your thumbs with your navel. So you're now making a diamond shape directly on top of your pelvic area. Now just close your eyes and visualize that you have a tray of marbles resting on top of that diamond shape. Roll the tray of marbles towards your feet. So all the marbles roll down towards the feet. The tailbone presses down into the ground and you're creating space between your lumbar spine and the mat. So you're really arching your back here and lifting that lower back away from the ground. Now roll the tray of marbles towards your chest. Try to keep your feet nice and light. Pull your abdominals in, roll the hips in towards the rib cage and allow the entire spine to connect with the mat. So all of your vertebrae are sinking down into the ground, the marbles are rolling to the chest and the abdominals are sinking down towards the ground. So just keep visualizing that tray of marbles rolling forward and back. The marbles rolling towards the feet and then keeping the feet light using the abdominals and rolling those marbles towards the chest. Keep the shoulders relaxed, keep the neck nice and long, so try not to arch the neck as you roll back. Keep everything nice and relaxed. Now when you're ready, find a midway point between those two positions. So just allow the pelvis to settle. You want to visualize that tray of marbles being a level standstill, all the marbles sitting still right in the center. So in this position, your hips and your pubic bone should be level and even, so that diamond shape is nice and flat. You'll also feel that your tailbone is connected to the ground and the sacrum, that area just above the tailbone, is also connected. So you want that pelvis to be resting on the ground and not arching and lifting too much. So the sacrum is pressing down. Now just above the crest of your pelvis, right through that lumbar spine, through the center of the spine here, you should feel a soft and natural curve right through the center. It should be only just big enough so a trail of ants could only just squeeze underneath that curve. Then from the very bottom ribs, right up to the top of your shoulders, connects with the mat once again. So that thoracic spine, the area between the ribs and the whole rib cage, is completely connected to the mat and nice and heavy. The shoulder blades are also sinking down, so you really want to open up your collarbone nice and wide to allow those shoulder blades to sink down. We have another natural curve through the neck here, through the cervical spine, and we want to maintain this. We want to keep that natural curve, but very gently tuck your chin in and press the back of your head down to lengthen that spine as much as possible. So we want to maintain these four natural curves through the spine right throughout the workout. So a lot of the exercises call for a neutral spine position, and this is where we want to be. So to maintain this, we need to engage through our powerhouse, all of our deep stabilizing muscles. So what I want you to do here is keep your neutral spine, and I want you to imagine that someone's pulling your belly button by a string from underneath you down and into the ground. So you're feeling the navel pull deeper towards the lumbar spine, just sinking naturally with gravity. Good, just a little bit of enhancement by really pulling in, so you're not sucking your tummy in or holding your breath or over-engaging. It's just a nice natural drawing in deep towards the spine. At the same time, you're lifting, scooping and hollowing the area between your hip bones. So it's like you're wearing a tight pair of jeans and you're zipping up from the pubic bone and pulling those abdominals away right up to the navel. Finally, we think about lifting and squeezing our pelvic floor, and that's a sensation like you're holding on to go to the bathroom. So very gently, drawing up and in. So you just want to imagine all those muscles pulling in towards your midline and lifting to give you that perfect stabilization through the pelvis. So we want to keep those muscles engaged whilst we're able to breathe freely. So we're going to practice our breathing now. We're going to bring our hands around the sides of the ribs and let the middle fingers touch in the center. Keep that navel drawn in towards your spine and breathe in laterally. So your rib cage is expanding out to the sides of the room. The fingers separate, breathing in as deeply as you can. As you exhale, you breathe out through your mouth. You pull the navel even deeper towards the spine. Allow it to sink down towards the mat as the rib cage pulls back in. Your fingers touch again in the center. Breathing into the palms, trying to breathe as laterally as possible. Whilst engaging that core, as you exhale, breathe out through your mouth and close the rib cage back in. So you'll notice that this style of breathing allows you to really keep your core engaged and pulled in. We'll do that one last time, breathing in through your nose. And then as you exhale, breathe out through your mouth, pulling in through your center and allowing the rib cage to draw back into the middle. So those will be your three main focuses: deep, expansive breathing, engaging your core, and keeping a nice neutral spine. We're now going to warm up with some pelvic curls. So make sure once again your ankles, knees and hips are aligned. Your arms are down beside you, starting in a neutral position. Take a nice deep expansive breath in, and as you exhale, you're going to pull your abdominals in and roll that tray of marbles towards your chest. The entire spine is pressing into the ground. You start from your tailbone, squeeze the back of your legs and peel and articulate your spine off the mat, vertebra by vertebra till you're resting on your shoulders. There's no weight on the neck, so just turn your head side to side to make sure there's no weight on that cervical spine. Hips should be nice and lifted in line with the knees and shoulders. We inhale at the top, and then as you exhale, you just melt through the chest, through the rib cage. Keeping the abdominals drawn in, you roll through the entire spine, sequentially rolling through that lower back, coming to a neutral position before you breathe in. Exhale, roll the pelvis back, articulate the spine, squeeze through the back of the legs, lift and lengthen. Inhale at the top, and then exhale, just melt down into the ground, pulling your abdominals in and lengthening all the way out, coming back to that neutral position when the tailbone sinks into the ground. Let's do 4 more like this. Breathe out 4, lifting up, opening up through the chest, breathing in. And then as you exhale, lower down with control, sinking all the way down through the ground. 3 more like this. Pull the hips in towards the rib cage. Lift and squeeze. Press the ground away from you with the backs of your arms and your feet. A 2-way stretch, pressing in opposition. Breathe in, and then as you exhale, melt all the way down with control, rolling through that spine, lengthening all the way out. Good, scooping up and in, lengthening, articulating and lifting as you press those arms and feet down. Keep the neck relaxed and keep that neutral curve through the back of the cervical spine, through the neck. As you lower down, you pull the navel in and soften down into the ground. Now let's just lift up and hold it at the top. So we're going to curl, tuck under, lift and hold it here. Now just nice relaxed breathing here. You're going to keep the hips nice and level, pulling the abdominals in, keeping the shoulders down as you make sure you're in your correct position. Now we're going to breathe in and we're going to exhale as we lift the right leg. Good, bring it up into tabletop, your hips stay nice and centered, you're pressing that left foot deep into the ground, and you slowly inhale and place that foot back on the ground. Exhale, lift the left leg. Now really focus here on pelvic stability, engaging your core and keeping your neutral spine. Exhale to lift and inhale to lower. It's all about that stability. Squeeze up and lower down. We'll do 6 more like this. Breathe out 6 and slowly place that foot back down on the ground. Breathe out 5. Good, just 4 more. Pressing the ground away with the arms, pulling the abdominals in, and 3. Good, just 2 more like this, breathing out as you lift, keeping the hips nice and even. One last time. Lift, lower the foot, and slowly and with control, melt your spine back down and into the mat. Now that we're warmed up, we're going to really engage that powerhouse. So I want you to lift your legs into what we call a tabletop position. So brace your core, pull your navel in, keep the pelvis in neutral, and first lift the right leg. Now keep that core working to lift the left leg up to the same position. So you have a 90-degree bend at the hip and at the knee to bring your legs into a tabletop position. Your arms are pressing down to the ground beside you, your shoulders are relaxed, the neck is long. Now really focus here on keeping the core engaged and not letting that tray of marbles roll forward. You want to keep them nice and centered. You're going to breathe into prepare, and as you exhale, keep that 90-degree bend at the knee. Dip your toes towards the mat, and then inhale to lift. Exhale to reach the left leg away, keeping that 90-degree bend at the knee, and pull back up, keeping everything nice and centered. No straining, no tension through the upper body. You exhale to dip the toes down. Inhale to lift. So you want to focus on that tray of marbles staying level and not letting the pelvis roll forward and back as the legs reach away. We're creating instability as we reach the legs away, so we really need to counteract that by using the powerhouse. Reach away, exhale, and inhale to lift. We'll just do 4 more like this. Exhale, and inhale. And exhale, keeping that same bend in the knee the whole way through. So you're just moving from the hip, tapping down, and then lifting back up. Now we'll just do that one last time. We're just going to do a nice variation of that. We're going to reach the arms up towards the ceiling. So now we're taking away the stability of the arms here, and we're really enhancing the exercise. So what I want you to do is reach your right arm and your right leg down. Lengthen and stretch and hover just above the ground as you stretch the left arm behind you. We inhale to draw everything back to the center nice and slowly, focusing on your pelvic stability, and then change sides. The left arm and leg extend, reaching and stretching through the body, feeling that that pelvis is connected to the ground. 8 more like this. Exhale as you extend and lengthen, and then inhale back to the center. Keep the shoulders relaxed, keep the neck long, chin softly tucked in, navel drawing towards the spine. 6 more like this. Breathe out 6, and then inhale back to the center. Breathe out 5. Good, drawing back in nice and slow and controlled, nice fluid movement, like you're trading through water. 3 to go. Breathe out 3, and inhale back to the center. Just 2 more, and inhale back. One last time. Really stretch. Come all the way back to the center and hug your knees in for just a moment. From here, place your feet flat down on the ground. Once again, ankles, knees and hips are aligned. We're in our neutral position. Our hands are now going to come behind the head for support and stability. So interlace your fingers behind your head and just place your elbows on the ground for a moment. Open up the chest. Make sure your rib cage is sinking down and into the ground. And then I just want you to lift your elbows an inch or 2 off the ground so you can see them in your peripheral vision. This will help you to keep your shoulders relaxed and away from the ears. The chin is softly tucked in. You're sending your gaze towards the top of your knees. Take a nice deep breath in, and as you exhale, just start by tucking the chin in even more and pressing your hands to the back of your head to lift the head. Lengthen through the back of your neck, just gently stretching and elongating. Now keep that position. You're going to fold from your sternum, lifting up and feeling your ribs get heavier on the ground. There's still a neutral curve through the lumbar spine. The ribs are just getting heavier. You're lifting your chest towards your thighs and pulling those abdominals in. Now take a nice deep breath in. As you lower down, sink back down into the ground. Keep the neck long, come back into your starting position. Exhale to curl forward. Tuck the chin in, scoop and lift. And then inhale to lower down. So really making sure here the hips are nice and even and centered. Reaching up, scooping as you lift, sinking the ribs down, stretching through the back of the neck, and then lowering back down. We'll do 7 more like this. Breathe out, 7. And lower. And breathe out, 6. Pulling the abdominals in as you lift, keeping that nice neutral spine. Good, just 5 more. Breathe out, 5. Now really press your hands to the back of your head. It's okay to apply that pressure and to really help to support the neck and stretch it out. Good, it actually helps with your engagement. Lifting up. You want to imagine as well that you're holding a soft peach between your chin and your chest. This will help you to keep that chin tucked in and keep the neck nice and long. And then lower back down. Good, just 2 more like this. Breathe out, 2. And lower. And 1 last time, we're going to hold this one at the top. Now, just to help us increase our range of motion, we're going to hold that position now. We're going to be taking the hands away, so I really need you to engage through your powerhouse to not let yourself sink down. You want to keep this nice lifted position. So engage the core and reach your hands behind your thighs. Now, press into your thighs, lift yourself 1/2 inch higher, just a little bit so you can feel the core even more. Engage your core, don't let yourself sink down. Hands come back behind the head so you have that newfound height. And then you're going to lengthen all the way down, stretch into the ground. We're going to curl up, stretch, come to the top of your range. Now hold that position by engaging your core. What I don't want you to do is let the pelvis come out of neutral. Lift up by sinking the ribs down deeper. You still have that neutral curve. Keep that position. Hands come back behind the head and you sink back down. Let's do 8 more like this. So you should be really starting to feel your core now. I know I am. Lifting up. Hands come behind the thighs. Lift just a little bit more without losing your neutral curves. Lift and reach the hands behind the head and then sink back down. Nice slow breathing. So you're exhaling to lift. Inhaling to reach. Exhaling to lift that little bit higher. And then we just inhale to reach and lower down. Good, breathing out on the effort, lifting. Inhale to prepare, reach. Exhale, scoop even more. Hands come back behind the head, interlace the fingers, and then slowly and with control, lengthen yourself back down. Good, lifting up, reaching, scooping, hands behind the head, and lower down. 4 more, breathe out, 4. Reach and lift. Hands behind the head. Melt all the way down. It's going to really strengthen that powerhouse and really get in those deep stabilizing muscles. Reach and lift. Hands behind the head. Slowly lower down. 2 more like this. Breathe out, 2. And reach and lift. Good. Keep that height. Hands behind the head. Lower down. 1 last time. Lift and reach. Lift that little bit higher. Now I want you to keep that height. Stay there. Pull your navel in. Reach your hands behind your head and pulse up for 10, 9, 8, 7, and 6. Just 5 more. And 4, 3, 2, and 1. And slowly lower down and into the mat. Bring your arms down beside you. We're now going to come into our hundreds. So this is a fantastic classic Pilates exercise that works the entire body. Think of it as a manual heart pump, getting the blood pumping around you. We're going to bring the legs in towards the chest here, so you can bring the knees right in. They don't have to be in tabletop to begin with. I'll give you lots of different options so you can choose the one that best suits you. Now really pull those abdominals in no matter what level you're at. Level 1, very basic, pulling the knees in, reach the arms out just above the pelvis, and I want you to keep your stability, so it's harder than it looks to keep still on the mat and not let yourself rock around whilst pumping the arms. Keep the arms above the powerhouse, and this is what's going to get that blood pumping and get it circulating around the body. So really pumping from the shoulder and really using your core to keep yourself nice and still. If you want to take this to the next level, you tuck your chin in. And once again, you fold from the sternum, you sink the rib cage down, you lift the chest towards the thighs, pulling the abdominals in, keeping yourself in flexion as you pump the arms. You can also take this a little bit further by bringing the legs into that tabletop position, knees over the hips, scooping and hollowing. And you can also do this one with your head down. Okay? If you really want to take it to the next level, you can stretch your legs straight up towards the ceiling, and that's as far as we'll go today. Breathe in for 5 beats. And exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, squeeze your legs together. And exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, remember you can drop down a level if you need to. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. Exhale, keep lifting your chest towards your thighs. Inhale. And exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. Really reach with those fingertips. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 more breaths. Reaching those noses towards your thighs. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. One last time. And exhale all the air out. Pull your navel in. Reach with those fingertips. Bend through the knees. Lower the head. Lower the arms. And lower your feet down and into the mat. We're now going to come into an exercise called leg circles. Now, all about pelvic stability and control. So let's just start by bringing our right knee in towards us. And I just want you to reach the knee in towards you and just give your hip a gentle stretch. Okay, so just making sure the pelvis is staying in neutral. You're giving the hip a gentle stretch by pulling that knee right in towards the shoulder. You're then going to reach the leg up towards the ceiling and you're going to reach behind the thigh, keep a soft bend in the knee and just stretch out through the back of the leg. You can reach up a little bit higher if it's more comfortable for you. Good, keeping your heel softly turned in and just stretching the leg to where you can. Okay, it doesn't have to be a big stretch. And you can keep this soft bend in the knee the whole way through the exercise if you prefer. Now we're going to just start with a soft bend. You're going to reach your arms down beside you and just make sure that your heel is the closest thing towards the midline of your body. Your toes are turned out at a 45-degree angle. What this allows is for the femur to sit correctly within the hip socket, so it glides smoothly. We all have a very natural, but very soft turnout in the hips, so we want to make sure we maintain that and we're not too parallel. So keep that soft turnout there with the toes. Press the arms down beside you. Keep the soft bend in the knee. And you're going to hit 4 points. You're going to reach your big toe up towards your nose, towards your opposite shoulder, brush past the opposite knee, come around towards the same shoulder, and then back up towards the nose. So that's how you want to shape your circle, reaching around and hitting those 4 points. Now let's smooth out the edges. Just make it a nice circle within the frame of the body, going no wider than the shoulders. Exhale to sweep around. Inhale to the top. Exhale and inhale. Good. You can reach your leg as long as you can, keeping your neutral spine. Reaching around, pulling the abs in, lifting up. Let's do 5 more like this. 5, reaching up. And you can bend the knee as much as you need to if your hamstrings are tight. Now what I want you to imagine is you're balancing a teacup on top of that opposite knee, so there's no movement. The pelvis is not wobbling at all. The abdominals are working. We'll do one last one in that direction, then we change directions. So nose, same shoulder, knee, opposite shoulder, nose. We always pause at the top for just a moment so we're not using too much momentum. 8 to go like this. Really press your arms into the ground to help you stabilize. No movement through any other part of the body except that moving leg. Reach around and lift. Keep the circles within the frame of the body. 4 more. 4 and 3. Good, just 2 more. And 1 last time. Hug that knee in for just a moment, stretching out before we change sides. So just place that foot on the ground, bring your left knee in towards you now and stretch out through that hip. So just allowing the hip to stretch out. Good, you can move it side to side just very gently and very slowly. Just finding where you need that stretch. We're now going to lift the leg towards the ceiling. Keep a soft bend in the knee. Reach behind the thigh and feel the stretch through the hamstrings. You can reach up that little bit higher if you need a deeper stretch. Heel turned in, leg long, shoulders down away from the ears. You can bend the knee as much as you need to throughout these stretches. If your hamstrings are particularly tight, having a soft bend in the knee will help to just shorten the hamstring a little and allow you to stretch that with a little bit more ease. Okay, the longer we stretch the knee, the more we're really lengthening out through the back of that leg. Now, keep the chin tucked in, keep the neck long, arms down beside you. Let's hit those 4 points. Heel is softly turned in, reach towards the nose, the shoulder, brush the knee, same shoulder, nose. Smooth out the edges, reaching around, lifting up. Close your eyes, and I want you to imagine trying to keep those marbles still as your leg is creating that instability. So it's really challenging. You're creating instability with the leg, but you're trying to counteract that with the powerhouse. Reaching around, lifting up. It's the entire purpose of the exercise. You're also getting a nice strengthening and toning workout through the outer thighs, through the hamstrings, the glutes. Good, it's just an added bonus. Let's do 5 more in this direction. Good, and 4, 3 to go. 3, and 2 more, keeping it within the frame of the body. 1 last time. Now let's change directions here towards that nose, the shoulder, brush past. Now really stretch across, reach and lift. Good, so we really focus not on going too wide, but really reaching across the body, stretching over and up. 7 to go. 7 and 6. Good, just 5 more, lifting up. And 4, 3 to go. 3, pulling that navel up and in. 2 more. And 1 last time, really stretching across, and then draw the knee in for just a moment before we come into our spine twist. So you're going to just bring your feet together on the mat this time, so the heels, ankles, knees, inner thighs, all pressing in towards one another. Your arms are going to come out beside you just below shoulder height, just for a little bit of stability and support. Shoulders are down away from the ears and they're pressing down and into the ground. Now I like to lift my heels here, it gives me a little bit more range of motion. You're going to press everything together, and I want you to imagine that you have bolts running through your ankles and your knees. This will stop your legs from sliding away from one another. So you're going to lift the right side of your pelvis off the mat. You're going to twist your knees over towards the left, and you're going to just keep those knees and heels together, okay, so they don't slide away from one another, that both shoulders are staying down on the ground, and then you pull your abs in to pull back to the center. Lift the left side of your pelvis off the mat, the left foot will lift, the left knee stays super glued to that right knee, stretching across, feeling a stretch through the spine, but both shoulders stay connected. Come all the way back to the center. 8 more like this. 8. And lift. Use your abdominals to pull back to the center, reach across, and then lift. 6 to go. 6. And lift. Just 5 more, really twist. And center. 4 more. Now you're still keeping a neutral spine, you're just rotating, you're not letting the pelvis roll forward. Okay, so think about that tray of marbles now tilting side to side, but not rolling towards the feet. Good, reach across, last one. Come all the way back to neutral and bring those feet hip distance apart, arms down beside you. We're now going to come into a modified version of our series of 5. This is a fantastic abdominal series to really strengthen your entire powerhouse and stretch out the body. This will give you a strong foundation for the more advanced exercises or the more advanced versions of these exercises. So you can keep your head down right the way through these exercises if you prefer. We're going to start by bringing your right knee in towards you. Now when we have one leg in towards us, we always reach the outside arm down just above the ankle and press the heel down firmly towards the bottom. We also reach the opposite hand just below the knee. And this happens every time. We always reach the outside arm down. If we were to change that position, it would pull the knee off its track out to the side. By having that outside arm reaching around, the opposite hand up higher, it keeps the ankle, knee and shoulder directly aligned, which is exactly what we want. Now we're going to reach our opposite leg up towards the ceiling. Keep the heel turned in, elbows lifted, navel drawn to the spine. We'll start with the very basic version and progress from there. So you're just going to pull the knee in, and then you're going to change sides. So outside arm comes down and around and hugs the heel in towards the bottom, the knee in towards the shoulder. So just practice moving between those two positions nice and fluidly. Stretching the knee right in and lengthening out the hip flexors. Now, if you want to come to the next level, we're going to lift the chest. So make sure that you tuck your chin in, abdominals pull in, the forehead pulls in right up towards that knee, and stretch. Now, if you want to take this just a little bit further, reach the leg down just that little bit lower. Elbows stay lifted, and stretch. 7 to go. 7, and stretch. And 6, good, really lengthen. Just 5 more, lift the legs higher if you need to. Lower the head anytime you need to. 3 to go, 3, and stretch. 2, and stretch. 1 last time. Good, lower all the way down and rest. So that was our single leg stretch. We're now going to come into the double leg version. So for our double leg stretch, we're going to start by keeping the head down, reaching the arms and legs towards the ceiling, inhaling, and then as you exhale, you're going to reach the arms out and around and pull the legs in, keeping your neutral spine. So really engage your core here. Lift, exhale, sweep around. If you want to progress, tuck the chin in, scoop and lift. Reach and exhale. Now keep the chest lifted the whole way through. Don't let the head drop as you lift towards the ceiling. Good, squeeze. If you want to take it just a little bit further, reach the arms and legs just that little bit further away from one another. Good, let's do 5 more. 5, exhale and reach. Keep that chest lifted. 4, exhale, nice big circle with the shoulders. 3, and scoop. 2 more. 2. And 1 last time, reach and scoop. And once again, lower the head down. We're now going to come into our hamstring pull. You're going to reach your right leg towards the ceiling and interlace your fingers behind the thigh. Your opposite leg is going to keep a soft bend in the knee and reach down just that little bit lower. Focus on your pelvic stability. Stretch and pulse the leg in towards you twice. You breathe out as you pulse. You inhale to switch the legs and exhale to pulse. So focusing here on keeping your hips nice and still as you pulse is key to this exercise. You're scissoring the legs but the body's staying nice and stable and strong. If you want to progress, lifting the chest. Now you want to keep nice and steady as you scissor the legs. Make sure the chest stays lifted, not bobbing up and down. If you can, reach up that little bit higher. Stretch the legs a little bit longer. Breathing out. 6 to go. 6, and switch. So stay within your own range of motion. Good, progressing as you need. You can reach down as low as you need to. And switch. 3 to go. 3, and switch. 2, and switch. 1 last time. Reach and switch, and then come all the way down, lower into the mat. For this next exercise, the lower and lift, we're going to keep our head down on the mat. You're going to just lift the pelvis and you're going to place your hands in a diamond shape directly in line with the tailbone. So here you feel nice and supported. It's helping to prop your pelvis up and keep it in its neutral position as you perform this exercise. Try not to let the shoulders tense. Open the collarbone, sink your shoulders down and pull your abdominals in. Lengthen your legs towards the ceiling and keep a soft bend in the knees. Now, you're going to keep the legs in that same position the whole way through. You're going to move from the hip joint, pull the abdominals in, reach the legs away to about a 45-degree angle, and then exhale, lift back up. Good, reach away, and then lift back up. We'll do 8 more like this. 8. Just a slow, steady movement, pulling that navel deep towards the spine. 7. Keeping a neutral pelvis. And 6 to go. 6. And lift. Stay nice and relaxed through the upper body. 5. And pulling in through your center to lift back up. Keeping your neutral spine, keeping your pelvis supported. 3 to go. 3. And lift. 2 more. 2. And lift. We'll do that one last time. Lifting all the way up. Place your feet down on the ground for the final exercise, the crisscross. So we're going to keep our feet firmly planted today. We're going to bring our hands behind the head, interlace the fingers, lift your elbows just off the ground. Tuck your chin in, scoop your tummy, come into your chest lift position. Now try and keep your shoulder blades off the ground here. Keep the pelvis nice and centered. What you're going to do is you're going to make sure that the hips stay nice and level and even as you rotate. So you're lifting one shoulder blade off the ground a little bit higher, opening up the chest and reaching towards that opposite hip. Come back through the center and change. Twist. Center. And twist. Good. Inhale through the center. Exhale to twist. Let's do 6 more like this. 6. And lift. And 5. Good. Really reaching as you twist. 4. And breathe that through. Keep those elbows nice and wide. Chin is tucked in. I want you to imagine now you're rolling that peach along your chest. One last time. Reach, center, lower all the way down and bring your arms down beside you. We're now going to focus on our lower body and do some glute work. So I want you to come over onto your side, into a side lying position. So what we're going to do is bring our heels directly in line with the tailbone. We're going to rest our head on top of our hand. If this is uncomfortable for you, you can also rest your head right down on your arm and lay down in this position here. Okay, so do whatever suits you best. We're going to have the hips directly stacked on top of one another, abs pulled in tight. Again, the heels are directly in line with the tailbone. Let's reach our top leg out towards the front corner of the mat. So here you're going to make sure that the heel is touching the ground, toes are slightly turned out. So once again, this is how the femur correctly sits within the hip socket, that slight external rotation. Now we're going to point the toes as we lift, and then we're going to flex and pull back down. Really slow the exercise down. Point and lift. Flex and lower. Good. 8 to go like this. 8. Keep your core engaged to keep that pelvis in neutral. 7. Make sure the waist is staying nice and long. 6 to go. 6. And 5. Good. Just 4 more. 4. And 3 to go. Good, just 2 more, pointing and flexing. 1 last time. Now bring it down to hip height, point through the toe, and I want you to make circles about the size of a soccer ball. Good, just rotating through the hip socket, the pelvis is not moving. Focus on that pelvic stability and control. Just like our leg circles when we're lying on our back, nothing moves except that leg. Good, 3, 2, and 1. Let's change directions. 10. Keep the heel slightly turned down. So you're staying externally rotated. Everything stays nice and still. Just rotating, gliding through that hip socket. Good. And 4. And 3. 2. And 1. Now close the leg up, squeeze the heels together. Just a very small movement here, lifting that top knee without rolling back. So you don't want to move with your leg. You want to make sure here that only the leg is externally rotating. So the pelvis stays facing forward, like you have spotlights resting on your hip. Good, they would stay pointing forward and shining forward. Let's do 7 more like this. And 6. Turning out 5 more. And 4. scooping your tummy, keeping those hips nice and stable and strong. Press and press. Let's progress this just a little. We're going to elevate the heels in line with the tailbone, turn out just that little bit more with the top leg. We're only doing 4 more like this. 4 and lower and 3. Good, 2 more like this, 2. Now let's add on a kick. So what we're going to do is we're going to elevate, lift, extend, stretch, come back in, lower down. 4 more like this, 4, stretch, in and down. 3, really lengthen and make the movement nice and fluid. 2 more. Now hold this last one up, just the extension. So we bring the heels back together, you extend straight back out. 4 and 3, 2 and 1. Come all the way back to the center. Lower those legs down, rest for just a moment. We're going to do that same series on the other side. So come all the way around to the other side and just make sure that your heels are directly in line with your tailbone. You're propping yourself up with your hand or resting down on your arm, doing whatever suits you best. Okay, so come into a nice comfortable position. Make sure that your abdominals are pulled in, the hips are stacked, the shoulders are down, the neck is long, the elbows directly in line with your shoulder if you are propped up. Now reach that top leg out nice and long, and you're going to make sure here the heel is dropped down, the toes are turned out. Now you're going to point as you lift, flex as you lower. Good, and reaching up and flexing to lower. 3, slowing down the movement. 4, letting that heel touch the ground. And lift, drawing your navel deep towards your spine. Let's do 5 more. And 4, chest stays open, neck stays long. 3. Good, really giving those muscles a chance to engage by slowing it down. 1 last time. Come back to hip height, point through the toe. Nothing moves. You can even place your hand on top of your pelvis here and just monitor the pelvis isn't moving as you rotate through the hip socket. 3 and 4. Relax the shoulders. 5. Press your lower leg down into the ground for stability. Good, and reach. Good, 9 and 10. Let's change directions. So keep it nice and stable. 9, that's where all the work is going to come from. You're getting an entire body workout here by keeping your pelvis nice and steady and stable. 5 more. And 4. 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. Now from here we're going to close the leg in. We're going to squeeze the heels together, keep the shoulders down and come into our clam. So remember here, once again, you can keep the pelvis steady by placing the hand there. Nothing moves. You're just externally rotating through the hip and pressing that knee up. And that's the only movement that's happening. Good. 9 and 8. Now really press your heels into one another. That's going to help you to engage through your glutes even deeper. Really press the feet together and work against that resistance. 4 and 3, 2 and 1. Good. Now let's elevate those heels. Lift. It just gives you a little bit more range of motion. 4 more. And 3. Good. 2. And 1 last time before we add on that extension. So let's lift up and stretch that leg. Come back in. Lower down. Lift and reach. Good. 3 more like this. 3. And 2. Really stretching. Now 1 last time. And we're just going to do the extension for 5. So just tap the heels together and then stretch back out. 3 more. 3 and 2 and 1. Come all the way back in and lower down. We're now going to come into a stretch. So I want you to come all the way back around onto your back, lying in your neutral position. So come all the way down and we're going to come into that nice stretch. So keep the pelvis in neutral, keep the abdominals pulled in. We're going to cross one leg over the opposite leg just above your ankle joint. You're going to press the knee away from you and open up through the hip. So really press into your thigh, sending it away from you so you feel a deep stretch through the hip and through the glute. You can stay here if you'd like, this might be enough of a stretch for you. Otherwise, we're going to bring those legs in towards the body. Reach the arm either around the top leg, around the thigh, or just below that opposite knee, and give yourself a really nice stretch through the hip. Shoulders are relaxed, the neck is long. We did a lot of strengthening work through this area, so it's important to stretch it back out. Nice deep breaths in through the nose, and every time you exhale, just hug the legs in a little bit further, stretch that little bit more. Keep the tailbone heavy, keep the shoulders down, keep that neck nice and long. We're going to gently release that stretch and come over to the other side. So just cross that opposite leg over, press the knee away, open up through the hip, stretching and releasing and just feeling that lengthening through the hip. And this might be enough of a stretch, or you might want to bring that entire shape in towards you and either reach and just gently guide the top leg in, or thread the arm through, reach for the thigh, or just below the knee, stretching and lengthening out. Keeping the tailbone heavy, keeping the shoulders down, keeping the neck long. And breathing deeply, and every time you exhale, just hugging in that little bit more and stretching it a little bit further. Really focusing this stretch on keeping your neutral spine, so don't let the body tense up in order to get a stretch through the hip. Okay, we want to make sure that the rest of the body is staying nice and relaxed as you stretch that leg in towards you. The shoulders are staying away from the ears, the neck is staying long, and the tailbone is sinking down and into the ground. And when you're ready, release that stretch and just hug the knees gently in towards you. We're going to finish up the class with some upper body and back extension. So what I want you to do is come over into a prone position. So you'll be lying on your tummy. So come all the way around, lying on your front, and stretch your legs out behind you. So make sure here the pelvis is nice and centered and neutral, and you're pressing your hips down and into the ground. The pubic bone is also pressing down, and this will help to keep you in your neutral position the whole way through. So you can imagine those 3 points and that tray of marbles pressing down into the ground here. So you're pulling your abdominals up and in towards your spine, and try to keep your heels connected in the center here. If that's too much for you, you can take your legs about the distance of the mat. We're going to start by bringing our hands directly underneath our forehead. Elbows are nice and wide, neck is nice and long, and you're going to lift up and squeeze, and then lower back down. Lift and squeeze, keeping your neck nice and neutral, and sink back down. Good. We'll do 8 more like this. Breathe out 8, and lower. Breathe out 7. Really squeezing up, 6 to go. Use your back extensors, press the pelvis down, lift your abdominals towards your spine. 4 more, 4. Really strengthen the back of the body. We do a lot of flexion in Pilates, curling forward. It's really important to do the opposite and lift into back extension. We'll do that one last time. Lift up. Now hold it here. What you're going to do is squeeze your elbows in beside the rib cage, keeping that extension. I want you to send your gaze just above the mat so that you're not letting the neck drop or lift too far. And then you're going to bring the hands back to the forehead. 9 more like this. Really squeeze the shoulder blades down and into a V position on the back. Breathe out 8. Squeeze in. 7. Breathe out 6, shoulders away from the ears, use your core, press the pelvis down. 4, and breathe out 3, just 2 more, And one last time. Now bring the arms down towards the ground, palms facing down, and you're going to lift up into a half swan. So you're really pressing the forearms down and into the ground, lifting and lengthening and opening up through the back. And you might want to stay here for level 1. Level 2, we're going to spread our fingers out. You're going to take your hands just a little bit wider, in fact, just outside of the mat. And you're going to press, lengthen, stretch through your spine, open up, reach and lengthen through that spine. And then sink all the way down with control. Just relaxing through the spine for a moment. We're going to do that twice more. Press, lengthen, stretch and release. And then with control, melting down, lengthening through the spine. We'll just do that one last time. Press the ground away, stretch and reach, opening up through the spine. Now we're going to hold this last one here. You're going to look over your left shoulder. You're going to drop your chin, roll along towards that right shoulder, and then back to the center. And then look to your right. Drop your chin, roll along your chest to the left. Look back to the center, and then sink down. Let's just do that one last time. We're going to press up, lift, stretch, and reach. You can stay on your elbows if you prefer. We're going to look over the right shoulder, drop the chin, roll along your chest to the left. Look back to the center, and then look to the left. Drop your chin, roll along your chest to the right. Look back to the center, and then with control, slowly melt down into the ground. And you just completed your beginner's workout. Thank you so much for joining me for this PBL Live beginner's workout. Remember to keep checking in every week at pilatesbylisa.com.au for more fantastic workouts. I can't wait to see you at the next one.